there's a lot of stuff that is going on right now with Pat McAfee, and he's talking about breaking news. But Adam Schefter was just on, and he was talking about the Brock Purdy situation, and Rob has the clip.
One or both of those guys join that club?
Well, I think Brock Purdy certainly could, but that's a question if they get that deal done. Again, you touched on it there, D, but the Niners, if they don't sign Brock Purdy this offseason, and here's a team that really is up against it financially, if they don't sign him, and Brock Purdy obviously is going to want to get a deal done, and the Niners would want to get a deal done. But the issue is he's scheduled to make $5.1 million this season. He then could be tagged after next season for $41 million. He could be tagged the season after that for $51 million. So if you don't get a deal done with Brock Purdy and you're the Niners, and again, this would not be what Brock Purdy would want, I would imagine. Certainly not what his agent would want. He would play for $5 million this year, 41 next year, 51 the year after. You're talking about $97+ million over the next 3 years, which for most people would be incredible money, but not for a quarterback who's waiting to get paid. And so the Niners have a bit of a cap issue, cash issue, and so they can't put Brock Purdy necessarily where he might be. They can go to a certain level. They'd want to pay him, but it's not going to be, I would imagine, quite as high as most people think.
Hey, listen.
Well, if you thought that we were going to have a quiet offseason, then I would have asked, like, what team do you think you're rooting for? But, with this, I think it kind of ties hand in hand with what John Lynch said about, hey, nothing's a guarantee. And I think that's a little bit of a difference because the 49ers do have these options in terms of, hey, you are under contract, bud. Like, there's nothing you can do about that. And we have options after that as well, too. So, yeah, we'll talk. But if we don't like what you're talking about, what are you going to do? Not play? And I doubt that's what he's going to do. So I think that kind of ties into all that. So again, this feels like matter-of-fact stuff to me, Steph, because all of these things are true and all of these things we knew before Adam Schefter said any of that.
I don't know if I agree about this whole conversation that's been going on about the 49ers suddenly being strapped for cash. I do think a part of it has to do with, the front office, maybe, Jed, feeling a way about spending too much, what he feels is too much, and maybe wanting to, slow the roll a little bit of re-signing all these guys, and how that impacts, his money and how much he has to pay in all these deals. I almost wonder if they're putting that stuff out there too to convince Brock Purdy that, hey, this is why we can't pay you. Like, what do you think? Like, we think it's better if you just resign with us at this price that we can afford you at. If not, like, we're gonna have to take these other avenues. But you should probably just accept this deal because it's the best deal that we're gonna be able to offer you. Like, the 49ers are known, I think, to pull out all the stops in order to try to get a player to sign to the cheapest deal possible. And, we've seen players not fall for it, right? Especially the wide receivers on this team. And ultimately, they end up getting what they wanted to in the end of it. I don't know if Brock Purdy is in the business of playing hardball, right? If he could go toe-to-toe with the 49ers, because I think what we've seen with, Nick Bosa, we've seen with Debo and Ayuk in those recent years is that they were willing to go toe-to-toe and play hardball and play dirty if they needed to, right? I just don't see Brock Purdy, being that guy. So unfortunately, the way it's looking right now, I do feel like he's in the position to get run over, by the 49ers and just basically take whatever, the best deal that they're going to offer him. But I think all this talk about, cap stuff is just the 49ers putting that message out there purposefully, strategically, in hopes to, have the Brock and his representation lower their expectations.
Yeah, and I think you're dead on with what you were saying about Jed York and how the 49ers caved at the end, right? And I think the 49ers are very much in the business of winning negotiations more than they are, bringing back the players that they want to. They always want to look like they're the ones who win the negotiation. But I think at this point right now at 2:08 Eastern time on March 4th, this is just par for the course for these negotiations, and it's gonna get worse before it gets better with all these things that are about to come out. There's no real need to panic right now on March 4th. There's no real need to take this as other than there's going to be a complete off season of this entire talk, and there's always going to be these discussions. And the longer and longer that this goes on without a deal or anything like that, then these talking points will become higher up on the bulletin board. So, yeah, you know what? I think the Yorks are absolutely not in love with the way that things have gone, and I think that that's something that's come out, right? Like very recently. But,
Mhm.
at the same time, this is the tip of the spear right now. Like, there's a lot more to go down here. Like that's going to happen, and just, it's not even like buckle up. I think this is par for the course for negotiations and how it is, especially when you're thinking about a quarterback. But the problem is this quarterback isn't going to hold out. This quarterback is under contract. This quarterback could be franchise tag. So this isn't a who blinks first. It's, hey man, meet us in the middle and let's get to this number that we want to get to, or just play this year out and we'll tag you and we'll deal with this again next year. So this whole idea that there's like this hard deadline or you got to get this done. You don't have to do anything. That man is under contract. That man will not sit out. That man is going to play football for the 49ers next year. He does no help to himself by holding out because he didn't get a contract. It's just not how it works.
But Jay, that's exactly what the 49ers were basically telling Brandon Ayuk, right? Like he had another deal or they had the 5th-year option they could take on him. He was threatening to hold out to start the season. What did they do? They ended up folding.
Yeah.
So I think there's proof that, the 49ers, like I said, are going to try to convince a player that, hey, we have all these options. We have all the leverage, and the player has that leverage of threatening to hold out. And the 49ers should be scared of that. It's one thing to be scared of Brandon Ayuk holding out and clearly scared enough that they ended up paying him what he wanted. But to do this with your quarterback, you can't mess around with a quarterback. I mean, your starting quarterback, what's your plan B? They really don't have one. Not to say that they won't look to explore one this offseason. I mean, like you said, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It will not shock me if we start hearing quarterbacks being linked with the 49ers, Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, who knows? Like, we're going to hear all these names. So that's the 49ers again, like leveraging exercising their leverage in this situation and, trying to make the player feel that pressure. And again, I don't think that Brock Purdy is the kind of guy that is going to go toe to toe with the 49ers. I think he'll kind of just see that. And I don't want to say he'll get scared, but I don't think he's going to call the 49ers bluff like other players have.
Right. And I don't think, how do I say this without it coming off brashly? I think Brandon Ayuk at the time was better at his position than Brock Purdy is at his, like
Sure,
higher up on the list,
yes.
right? Nick Bosa's the top 1-2 guy.
Yeah.
Ask around and you'll ask 10 people and you'll get 10 different opinions on where Brock Purdy lands in the top 12, top 15, but he's certainly not top 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's certainly not top
true.
7, right? So that's the thing is yeah, you want to get paid market. You look around and you see all these guys that are probably haven't put together the resume that you have. And I get that part. That's the job market. And that's how we look around and we all intend to get raises by. But, I don't think in the heart of hearts of Brock Purdy or anybody, even the strongest Brock Purdy defender, that they can say with a whole heart that he's like this top 5 guy that you've got to have. I don't think that. I think he's a very good quarterback. And I don't think that means that he's bad in any way and that he doesn't deserve to get paid. But I think that there's a little bit of a difference with Brandon Ayuk, who was coming off of a season as efficient as he was, and then Devonta Smith, who hadn't done anything close to that, and Jalen Waddle, those guys got paid. I just think that there was a little bit more of leverage on his part because he was considered higher at his position than probably Brock Purdy is at his.
Yeah, and we've already heard some other things that suggest that the 49ers don't think Brock Purdy's that guy, pal. Like, Tim Kawakami said that the 49ers are probably going to be offering like a lower year deal. I don't know how to say that, like lesser years for his contract, which would suggest, they don't want to make a long-term commitment to him either. So there's a whole shorter term deal. Thank you, Rob. There's a whole bunch out there right now that I think suggests that, the 49ers are willing to pay him, but at a certain price. They don't think he's worth, like you said, top 5 money. And I think that's fair. Like you said, I think, last year we were very much in favor and support of, Ayuk getting anything that he felt he deserved. We're always pro player here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we also knew that, Brandon Ayuk, it was fair for him to ask for what he was asking for, right? Just based on the market. I think maybe a little different with Brock Purdy. Like you said, he's not a top 5 guy. So it's a little different. But then again, quarterback market is weird in general. And you see, mid quarterbacks, when it's time to get paid, they could get close to top of the market. So I think we'll see where this goes. But this is just the beginning. And it's already, I'm getting bad vibes already, Jay. Like I don't like where this is going.
Yeah, I'm about to mute Brock Purdy on like the word Brock Purdy on Twitter. Like I don't want to see anything about it. Just let me know when the deal gets done or if it doesn't.